So the issue of freedom is an interesting one, and a complex one, I think. You're not signed to a label of any kind at this time. Again, do you think you have more freedom, therefore, working on this solo album than you have in the past working on Kill Hannah records?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think that, freedom can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I think what we talked about one time was like how, some of my favorite artists, my favorite directors, actors, after a certain level of success, I think need less freedom. Sometimes I think people tend to believe that anything they do is incredible and they're kind of beyond criticism. I think everyone needs some sort of external checks and balances. However, in this case, like the freedom that I enjoy in this record, like I love working with my band. I love working with any manager that we've had. I enjoy input from third parties and stuff, but I don't necessarily want it on this because this is really just going back to that super personal, kind of that exploratory early age of writing when maybe you don't think you know everything about writing songs, and you make mistakes that end up being cool, and you make choices that are maybe unusual, maybe atypical sort of decisions, and whether it's an arrangement, whether it's lyrically, and so in this case, yes, I have a lot more freedom. There's no one really to answer to. We're in our bubble out here. You visited the studio yesterday, and you see it's basically in like a Mexican strip mall,
yeah.
And we're there. It's a really cool studio.
A nondescript location.
Yeah, and so that's been my life the last 2 months, is pretty much driving out there, barricading ourselves in this space, and then leaving at the end of the night. And we're there for 12 hours a day, and so that is freedom to, in the best sense, I think, to express what it is truly that you want to say without consideration for, an older label dude sitting behind a desk in some other city who's trying, he thinks, to capture what it is that teens across the country want to hear, because they're generally, I find people like that are very out of touch. But the final thing I just wanted to say is that in terms of freedom, this is a credit to Greg from Kill Hannah.
Great corner, yeah.
Great corner when we're making
Kill Hannah's bass player.
Yeah, when we're making the last Kill Hannah record, he I think accurately started to notice that from a lyrical standpoint, I was making choices not necessarily from the heart, that I was making choices knowing what people were expecting of me, and maybe what this world that Kill Hannah had created. For as lucky as we are to have created it, it also becomes in a way kind of limiting, and it was more of a self-censored sort of thing. It's not imposed on me by anybody else, but I was, lyrically, he always wanted me to write something that was so just, even if it's ugly, just something true, something truly honest, and just bearing your soul.
Yeah, I think that having listened to all the songs that have been recorded for the new solo record, there is a lot of honesty, raw emotional honesty, and the word that keeps coming to my mind is also vulnerability.
Yeah.
Both in the subject matter of the songs, the lyrics, and the way they've been recorded, especially in the first demos I heard. And I think it really, for Kill Hannah fans, I think the sound, the tone for me goes back to the earliest phase of Kill Hannah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that kind of tone in, for example, Hummingbirds the Size of Bullets,
mm-hmm.
your first demo recording.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Your first EP.
That's totally true. It's funny. I'm glad you mentioned that, especially on this video, because people out there may not know you were involved with that record. You were the one that, it's just...
I'm proud to say I was.
Yeah.
Because that's a great record.
that I still stand by that record, and it's funny to
It
think.
holds up.
I think
well.
it does, and I think and the fans, I think the reason why it kind of still has legs is because we captured something cool where we were before we knew necessarily what the rules are, before you learn the formula of making something for radio, for whatever, and we just did it from the heart, and because we're just basically ripping off the bands that we love. So it was like, at that point, you know, we start a band, and the reason you got involved with us, and the reason I think the kinship that we have is that we're just music fans first and foremost, like obsessive music fans, and you make music that you want to listen to,
yeah.
and that should really, I think, at the core, really be the only reason you make music. And so it's fun for me, and on this solo record, to get back to that spirit, and it's fun for me also, just full circle. I love the fact that it's with you.
Yeah, I love that about it too. That I was involved with you on your first EP, your first professional recording, and as Kilhanna, and now I'm involved with you on your first solo recording. It's full circle, as you said.
I'm lucky that I was able to get you out here. You're a hard guy to nail down.
But you know, I think lyrically, I see a lot in this record that I loved in your first recordings. Hummingbirds the Size of Bullets, I keep coming back to that, but other songs too, of course. This poetry of your lyrics, the great metaphors you come up with. I find there's a lot of that in this record, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's nice when you think about, I don't know, there's that Johnny Cash movie with Joaquin where they had that great scene where Johnny Cash himself, not in any way to compare myself to the great writers or anything, but there was a scene where the producer was trying to get the best out of him, and he's like, look, I forget the exact dialogue, it was like, you know, if you had one song to say what you need to say to God or to you know, about your time on Earth, what would it say? You know, if you put that kind of like, I wouldn't put that kind of gravity on what I'm doing, but in just a small sense, I am thinking about it from the standpoint of, there's no one else to answer to but myself. Like, I need to be proud of this, and I need to, you know, illustrate that I've learned a fucking thing or two. Like, I'm not 18 anymore, you know, I've lived a pretty rich life to this point, full of like pretty rare experiences, and I've been lucky enough to say that I've been through the ringer on all sides, and it's like, so for me to do anything other than something honest would be just, I think, just an absolute emotional sellout. And so if what you're sensing, and thank you for using the words like poetry, whatever, I don't know if it's poetry, but
you're a great poet.
Thank you.
A Renaissance man. Poetry is one of your
You're the Renaissance
fields.
man. Oh my God.
But finish that thought.
Oh, so there's no compromise. You know, it's if a hook is sacrificed you know, instead in favor of actually expressing something important to me that's sincere and maybe in a voice that is my own and truly my own for good or bad, then that's a sacrifice worth making.
I see.
It's more important to me that this be an actual portrait of what I'm capable of right now, you know, artistically.
And I think that's a really good point. I mean, I referred a couple times to the music you were making when I first met you, Hummingbirds the Size of Bullets. And I don't want to suggest to your fans who are viewing this that this is some kind of a regression, this solo record, because it's not. Of course, it's a reflection of all your years of experience in music and in life, and your evolution as a songwriter and a musician. Yet it has a tone, a sensibility, a vulnerability that maybe was not present in some of the intervening Kilhanna records, or to this degree. Now, you've discussed how you have wonderful creative freedom on this record. Nevertheless, you've brought a lot of discipline to this project, this solo project.
Yeah, I mean, we hit the ground running. You know, we got out here January 15th, and the next, I mean, like I said, I was writing from the minute I got here, set up a cool home studio in this house in Los Feliz.
Some songs written here, some in New York, some in Chicago even.
Yeah, and we agreed on a schedule that was really aggressive. We're talking, I mean, we're moving forward in essence, not only as the band, but as the label. You know, we're making choices now. We're looking at an August 6th release date and working backwards from that. We're thinking now in terms of promotion, marketing, distribution, videos, you know.
I think we should make clear, on August 3rd, sorry to interrupt you, but on August 3rd, as of today,
August 6th.
August 6th?
Yeah, did I say 3rd?
I said 3rd. Well, is it the 6th? Or is it the 4th?
It's the 6th, it's the 6th.
Time has no meaning for people like me and you. But
neither of us are going to live to see this release, let's be honest.
But at this point, the tracking is done.
Yeah.
The mixing is, for the most part, done. Some tweaking will follow.
Yeah.
But you're at that stage of the process. So what now needs to be done?
Now we get the assets in place for you know, for the machine to start rolling, to get this out there in the most visible way possible, and in a way that, you know, we can be most proud of, and one that can actually compete on a level with other releases. You know, I don't want this to just, not that it ultimately matters, but I wouldn't like it to be some obscure record that fans have to hunt down and find. Like, I wanted to
have good distribution of some kind.
Yeah,
in some form or medium.
Yeah, and in order to, you know, in order to achieve that, we've got a really aggressive schedule. So we're getting the assets in place for the PR. You know, and by assets, what I mean is we're shooting 4 music videos. We have 2 photo shoots. We've got a lot of things, just a lot of meetings, things in terms of radio. You know, we have radio promotion, specialty radio, college, and then internationally as well, because England, for example, Scandinavia, big focuses on this record, because that's where the real center of the fan base is out there, and to me the most excited fans. It makes me excited, but like the real truest concentration of fans I've found are in England, and
but hail to the U.S. fans also.
Well, of course, and
the Finland fans,
and Finland, and elsewhere,
Australia,
obviously, yeah,
everywhere.
But anyway, so you're talking about, we're talking about a lot of work, a lot of marketing, a lot of promotion, a lot of publicity, and a lot of it's all fun. It's all cool stuff. And you mentioned art school. This is the one job I can have. When you mentioned acting, and that's one thing that I really enjoy. Whether or not I suck, I don't know. But with this, it really brings out the inner child in terms of, oh, you know, I get to work on a video. That's one thing. Even though I got to make the music, but now I get to work on a photo shoot. Now I get to work on the set design for a video. One of the videos we're doing is animated. So it's really
fantastic.
It's really drawing from, to me, the one of the high points creatively in my life would be being in college, where it wasn't one thing all day long. It was, you had like 4 courses. You'd go right from fashion illustration over to sculpting, over to, you know, studio techniques and stuff. So this right now is me shifting gears this week from recording and mixing into all those other avenues, and it's really fun. It's going to be really hard, but really cool.
That's fantastic, and you assembled such a great team to help you with the tracking and the mixing. I think that needs to be emphasized and mentioned. Yeah,
it's something. It's funny because I think whoever I am right now has evolved in an interesting way, and I don't want to sound California-y when I say this, but there's something about being out here. There's something about the spirit that we're putting into this, of just this energy of positivity. I mean, this sounds super California-y for me to say, and like crystally magic to say, but the team that's come together has happened in such an organic way. We strategize and we plan as much as we can, but then we're very open to see what happens. And what has happened with this is people have gotten involved that I never would have anticipated getting involved. And now that they are involved, I can never imagine the record coming out without their involvement. So we're talking about, Aaron Miller, Justin Moorfield, of course, David Jelson. Yeah, David Jelson Riley, of course, Gerard Way.
My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, Morgan Kibbe, Sierra Custerbeck, all these people.
Incredible. Really
coming together, and I'm just so fortunate. It's so cool. So, that's just touching on the team. You mentioned a team. We didn't go out there to assemble a team. It's just kind of it just happened that way.